Hello, this is Talia Gorski from the Song of Ice and Fire History channel, and welcome to our first installment in A Song of Ice and Fire History, which starting with the Dawn Age and going up to the Long Night. Before we start, I'd like to thank my one subscriber. I'm doing this for you. Thank you for your faith in me. So, in the Dawn Age, this was the beginning of recorded history. People were just beginning to write stuff down. In Essos, the earliest empire, the old Glisgari, were just beginning to pop up. And in Westeros, there were only two important races, the Giants and the Children of the Forest. Now we both consider the Giants and the Children of the Forest to only live up north of the Wall. But back in those days, there were no wall, and that wouldn't matter. They went from the foot of Dorne to the land of always winter. So the Giants were a race commonly known to be very hairy and furry. They didn't make much weapons, except for maybe branches from trees. And they were about from 12 to 14 feet tall on average. There was evidence that they buried their dead. But not much else is known about them. The Children of the Forest are a little bit different. They have a little bit more of a culture. The Children of the Forest are very small. Obviously smaller than a human, much smaller than a giant. They've got cat's eyes. They wear clothes made of leaves and bark. And unlike the Giants, they worked very extensively with stone, such as obsidian, or, as they call it in the books, dragon glass. So they had a language that I've got a quote here that says, their language was like the song of stones in a brook, or the wind through leaves, or the rain upon the water. Now, they're the ones that first began to worship the old gods, and they were the ones that carved the faces into the weirwood trees. And they had green seers among them that would be able to look through the weirwood trees and spy on other people, just see other things, past and future. So basically, like what Bran's doing right now is what the green seers would do. So there's evidence that there was rocky relationships between the Giants and the Children of the Forest, because there have been bones found with obsidian arrows and daggers embedded in them. So, I mean, nobody really knows for sure, because they're really not found anymore, except for up north. And everybody else has pretty much given up on them because they're all idiots. So that's pretty strong evidence that at one time they were enemies. But that all changed when the first men began to come over on the land bridge of Dorne, which used to be right here now. So pretty much right away they started to clash with the Children of the Forest. They just had different lifestyles. The Children of the Forest would make permanent shelters, if anything, they'd live amongst the trees. Meanwhile, the first men were Bronze Age. They would build ring forts and farm, which was completely new to Westeros at that time, which was about 12,000 to 8,000 years ago, are the best estimates. So, in the first men's favor, they had cattle, they had horses, and they had metal tools. But what the Children of the Forest had was magic, and obviously a better knowledge of the land. So, let's just say the Children of the Forest did not go gently into that dark night. The reason that this area is called the Stepstones, at least according to legend. That brings me to my first marking of the map. Stepstones. It's because all the green seers of the Children of the Forest got together and used magic to try to break it off to stem the flow of new First Men coming in. The First Men were also cutting down weirwood trees in the beginning, which was sacrilege. Imagine if they, it's akin to burning a church or a mosque or a synagogue. So this war between the Children of the Forest and the First Men lasted generations. And the reason why the neck right here is so swampy is because they tried to do another, land bridge of Dorne. They tried to break off the north from the south, and they didn't succeed, but they made it a marshland. So anyway, after generations of fighting, the humans and the Children of the Forest decided to make a pact, and this was made in the God's Eye, which is this island in the middle of the Isle of Faces, which I will again mark right now. Isle of Faces and God's Eye. So, for reference, it's where Harrenhal is, but I'm not going to mark Harrenhal because Harren the Black didn't come till much, much later. So, what this pact was that the First Men agreed not to cut down any more weirwood trees, and, stop killing the Children of the Forest, and they take their gods, and the Children of the Forest agreed to stick to the wild, stick to the deep forests, and let the First Men have all the farmland. So, this pact went down, and for a while things were pretty great. They lived in peace. The Age of the Heroes went on, which the Age of Heroes is, where such legendary characters such as Bran the Builder, Garth Greenhand, Lan the Clever, all originated from. But we're not going to go too much into that, because when I talk about each house individually, that's when I want to go into the deeds of these people. I don't want to ruin it all right now. But then, what happened was the Long Night. Now, I'm sure you all know somewhat about the Long Night. It's when the others came. There was winter that lasted a generation. And the First Men and the Children of the Forest banded together, along with Bran the Builder. And that's when the wall was created. So let me do that now. Marking the wall. It came from the land of always winter. But what makes the Long Night so interesting is that almost every culture has something like this. In Westeros, there was the legend of the last hero who went to stop the others and stop the Long Night. He went farther north, and all of his companions either left or died one by one until only he was left. In Ashai, that's where the whole legend of the prince that was promised come back to fight the darkness with his red sword. So that's basically what Melisandre's been talking about the entire time, with Stannis being, Azor Ahai with his flaming red sword. And in Yiti, which is a land way, way to the east, we're not going to talk about that till I'm basically almost done making videos. In Yiti, there was a legend of when the sun hid from the earth, and there was just continuous darkness until a woman with a monkey's tail came and saved the day. So all these legends are really old, they're really vague, and they're everywhere. So that doesn't bode well for what's happening right now. So, the Long Night happened, it ended, and life goes on. But, not until next video. Thank you for watching. This has been a Song of Ice and Fire History Channel.